What's going on, everyone? Alex Miller from the Eagle, joined by Travis Brown, one of our Texas A&M sports reporters here at the Eagle. We're outside. Well, we're inside Kyle Field, actually. But inside. What is it? Same thing. Jimbo Fisher and some A&M players just got done talking. The Aggies, they're traveling up to Arlington this weekend, face Arkansas in the annual Southwest Classic. Travis, what was kind of your biggest takeaway from what we heard this week as the Aggies getting ready to start SEC play?
Well, it sounds like, just for team news, that it seems like it's going to maybe be a healthier team. Layden Robinson will be back in practice today. They said that Aniyah Smith, Luke Matthews, and I forgot the other one.
Eric Young.
Well, Eric Young, and then Keldrick Carper. will all be back in practice, or day to day. But Layden Robinson will be back in practice today. That'll be a lot healthier than they were in this last game. Caleb Chapman, Jimbo Fisher said he didn't know. He's a little nicked up, and he'll be a little bit more of a little bit longer progression on what that'll be. So it'll be a healthier team, and that'll be good, because the thing that Jimbo Fisher called out after the game, talked a little bit more about today, was that kind of lack of physicality in the game. And having more bodies, having more veteran bodies will certainly help that. So that's a big part of that. Just a lot of really good praise for the Arkansas team that they're going to face. Talking about, I know Leon O'Neal said that their quarterback at KJ Jefferson reminds him a lot, and at least in size and stature, of Cam Newton. He has the ability to run the ball, to throw the ball deep. Jimbo Fisher was really impressed with his ability to hit those deep balls, and the way that they can set up their play action passing game with their ability to run the ball. Probably a little bit more talking about Arkansas from Jimbo Fisher than maybe the Aggies this week, but as we all kind of have seen as college football fans and people who cover the game, is this Arkansas team is one we weren't really expecting a top 25 matchup in this game, and it might be one of the most highly touted, highly anticipated games in this series in a long time.
For sure. Yeah, both teams being ranked. How long ago was it that Arkansas was the bottom feeder of the SEC West, and now they're in the top 20? How big of the news is it that Layden Robinson's going to be back this week? Is A&M still trying to figure out what they're doing on its offensive line and trying to get things solidified, get things back into shape? Yeah,
I think, well, he said that he'll be back in practice. Miles Jones has been back in practice for a couple weeks. He just saw limited time, so we'll see how much Robinson will be able to be back in the game. But if they can get back, they'll have a little bit more of that continuity that they were able to run the ball a lot better against Kent State. Against Colorado, it was a little different. You want to say that things seemed to fall apart a little bit, but with a new quarterback in there, with Haynes King going out, it's a little bit of mitigating circumstances in that of why maybe they wouldn't have been able to establish the run quite as well as they would have liked. It was not good against New Mexico last week. You saw how frustrated Isaiah Spiller was getting when he just wasn't necessarily getting the holes that he needed to go through. I think having that continuity back of that group that seemed to kind of be the first team there going through the end of practice into the week certainly will help. And you'll get Kenyon Green back on the outside, which I think he feels is a little bit more of his natural position and what he's been able to practice and do. I would like to see him come back for this game. I think A&M would need that little extra bit of spark on the offensive line against a really physical Arkansas team.
A&M's played really well on defense this season so far, really holding opponents to limited yardage. How important is it going to be for the Aggies to keep that up this week? And, how much does it benefit them maybe that for the last 2 weeks they've seen a quarterback that is run-oriented, so this is kind of starting to become maybe a little more familiar for them?
Sure. I mean, you look through the first two games, they were not so great against some of those running quarterbacks, especially Kent State's quarterback was able to get some chunk yardage on the ground. Jimbo Fisher said then it was a little bit of the spy man being a little too aggressive and not kind of pushing the runner towards other unblocked defenders and trying to go in and make the play himself. But yeah, I think it's a little bit concerning. I asked Jimbo Fisher about it a little bit, that it does seem that, don't get me wrong, this defense is really good and they're putting up some really good numbers, but if you want to look at the one thing that they can improve on, it's been kind of the middle of the field, especially as running is concerned, and especially mobile quarterbacks. And I think that could be a big factor in this game, how well they're able to contain Jefferson and lock down that middle of the field with the linebackers that they have and with the defensive line that they have in that box to not let them establish that run that opens up the play action pass game.
Well, folks, thanks for tuning in today. We'll check back into theeagle.com all week for the latest coverage leading up to A&M's biggest game, big game of the week, biggest game. It is their biggest game of the season, honestly. But, the showdown with Arkansas this weekend at AT&T Stadium. For Travis Brown, I'm Alex Miller. We'll see you next week.